Hello, and welcome to Recent Activity, your new favorite entertainment review podcast that attempts to cover every film, every show, all at once. I am your co-host, Andrew Morgan. With me, as always, he's calling in a Greyhawk 10. It's Shane Beauregard. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm glad you went that way because there's another line in the movie which I thought you'd go with, and I'm like, that would be, I was waiting for it. But I'll take that.
I'm intrigued. I need to know what that is afterwards because there are several laugh lines and other things. You know, I could have called you Sensei. There's a million things I could have done, but that one was probably the biggest laugh.
Yes,
like stuff in the whole movie for me. So that's great. Obviously, I wasn't going to compare you to the secret organized groups and everything else. So I figured that was very unflattering and uncharitable.
Yes.
So I always go with funny. Let's go there. But good to see you, sir. We have a lot to cover this week, as noted by what we were just discussing. We have a huge movie to talk about that we've been kind of talking about. The hype meter being exploded for the new Paul Thomas Anderson movie, One Battle After Another. We will be talking about that up top. That was the number one movie at the box office. We finally did it, Shane. We got back to talking about the biggest movie of a weekend as opposed to, talking about like some, fourth or fifth biggest movie and having no one know what the hell we're talking about. So now we can join the fun, join the conversation once more by talking about the new Leonardo DiCaprio film There. We will also cover several TV show premieres and finales. We have Slow Horses, English Teacher, The Lowdown. We have Alien Earth in its finale and Terminal List Dark Wolf as well. But Shane, let's start up top with a nice PTA meeting.
All right.
Is that good for you?
Love PTA meetings.
Love that. Yeah, exactly. Buckle down, get in a very tiny, uncomfortable seat, and get ready to talk about what could be. I'm curious to see a reaction because you have a mixed reaction to Paul Thomas Anderson movies in the past, but One Battle After Another is definitely an interesting case because if you go by any of the review-centric metrics, you're basically seeing that this is getting the best reviews of his career. And this is a guy who has had, Oscar-nominated films up and down, whether it be performance or film or both. And right now, the scores for One Battle After Another are way up top. And they might have even gone up since I last looked. 8.5 IMDb when I wrote this down anyway. Like I said, it could have gone up. 96 Metascore, probably the highest Metascore I've ever seen in my life. 97, and I think it actually went up to 98 Rotten Tomatoes score with a 90% audience meter as well. So basically, critic or just person. I know their cinema score was very high as well. So this has definite potential to have legs and is satisfying audience. 4.5 Letterboxd, and even that I think might have gone up to 4.6. I have to double check. And then, like I said, was also number one at the box office, the biggest number for an opening weekend for Paul Thomas Anderson. It made $48.5 million worldwide over the weekend and is now, I think, because we're recording this on a Wednesday, I think Monday returns came in, got up to now around 52, 53 worldwide and still climbing. So we'll see where that goes. As noted, I said this is written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. Of course, you may know him from anywhere from his early biggest hit of Boogie Nights all the way through There Will Be Blood, The Master, and others. This is based on the novel Vineland by Thomas Pynchon, same author as Inherent Vice, one of his other previous movies. Very divisive movie, probably one of the more divisive movies in his career. This stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, Teyana Taylor, Regina Hall, Alana Haim, Jenna Malone, Chase Infinity is a standout that we are going to get to know, who's doing one of her first films as Willa, the daughter to Leonardo DiCaprio's Bob in air quotes. This film is about when their evil enemy resurfaces after 16 years. A group of ex-revolutionaries reunite to rescue one of their own daughter. I am, like I said, I'm very curious to know what you think, Shane. This is fresh for you. You just saw this film last night. When I saw the movie for the first time, the first thing that I said, I was with a couple of friends, and when we got out of the theater, I said, I think that's the best movie I've seen all year. I think that it should win Best Picture, and what a refreshing delight it would be if we can get a rewatchable Best Picture winner, which is more and more a rarity. And I already hoped it would be Sinners before this, but obviously the horror tinge movies have a harder time. But this felt to me like when the Coens had won for No Country for Old Men, and I hope it happens with this movie. So obviously that's a tall order to see if you match my freak on top of looking at this film. But I just thought this is probably, it might be the most complete Paul Thomas Anderson movie and one of the more satisfying Paul Thomas Anderson movies, because he tends to have movies that even at their heights also come crashing down in some horrible spiral and have some terrible dramatic ending that will make you just, while it could be rewatchable in a Boogie Night sense, but you also just need to take a shower. So there are those type of films that he has in his CV, but his last couple between this and Licorice Pizza have more of like a positive note, and it's an interesting switch up for him. And I thought this was a culmination of a lot of things that he does and played with a lot of genres and a lot of things that I like. But let me ask you, sir, what did you think of One Battle After Another?
Going in, we said it at the top, I'm not the biggest PTA fan. I'm hit or miss with them. After watching this film, I'm fresh from last night seeing this thing. I think it's his best film. I think it's his most complete film. I think it's his most straightforward film, which was refreshing. I enjoy,
which is interesting because it's like a big time jump and a lot of different tones.
Just the cinematography, just certain scenes, the action set pieces, the focus on family and Bob raising his daughter, and the whole revolution thing. So it brings up good topics of immigration, and the Sean Penn character, Sergeant Lockjaw, was hysterical to me. Like, they did a good job, I thought, of diverting from the immigration story, which I thought was going to be, and it was the bulk of the movie, but then it kind of pivoted to Sean Penn's own kind of side storyline about trying to become part of this Christmas club. I forget exactly what they're called.
The Christmas Adventures?
Yeah, there you go. Christmas Adventures, right? So it kind of pivots to that storyline, which brings him back into Bob's life and everything. So I really, really, really enjoyed this film a lot. I mean, there's very little to critique at all, except for maybe the runtime.
Even that, I thought that flew. I really did. I was actually impressed that it didn't bog down as much as I hope, especially because most of the movie is a chase.
Yeah, it didn't get too... Yeah, you're right. The pacing wasn't awful, except for like maybe the third act a little bit. I was like, okay, we need to kind of wrap this up a little bit. But no, I loved all the character building. I love all the interaction. And Chase Infinity and Leonardo DiCaprio were perfect together. She was such a presence on screen. And I think at the top, or we discussed about Sean Penn being a potential Oscar nom and a scene stealer. And he was, but also I thought DiCaprio was equally as great. He wasn't as quirky as character Sean Penn was, which looks great. I don't know how old he is, but he looks fantastic. Sean Penn, yeah. Still looks...
You figure, what are we, 40 years after Spicoli? So he's probably in his late 60s.
Yeah, he looks good.
Yeah.
Benicio del Toro as a sensei was great. I liked his calm, chill kind of like demeanor throughout the movie.
So perfect. And especially the blend of him doing that behind the scenes immigration, hiding illegal immigrants and being basically the port in the storm for everybody in that mid portion of the movie, and then his little dance with the cops
Yeah.
and having a beer, just chilling, taking a selfie after getting someone out of prison.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, that scene was great, and it did have spots of humor like you talked about. The whole Bob with the what time is it? And when the kids come to pick,
it's the best part to me.
And then
that was my favorite thing in the whole thing. Besides, like, there's a lot of cool chase stuff, but my favorite thing was definitely the interactions with the underground movement and the phone conversations.
Yes, that was great. When the kids picked his daughter up from the house and he's like calling him essay and like getting in his ear. That to me, I enjoyed that more than the what time is it thing. I was dying laughing.
Oh yeah,
and then just the ridiculous scene with Sean Penn at the end when he's saying he got reverse raped and she's a she's a semen demon, which is where I thought you might be going at the top of the podcast.
Yeah, that's the most popular one. It seems like out there because, like, my God, everybody's been covering this movie to death over the last, since it came out. So, but yeah, Semen Demon came out. I also had this pussy don't pop for you. I could have thrown in there. And I thought you might appreciate the line, I know how to drink and drive. I know what I'm doing.
Yes, that was great.
Yeah.
But is it my favorite film of the year? No, it isn't. To me, I still enjoy Sinners more than this film.
Which, listen, they're both great.
No, they're both great.
That's a great thing to have.
I think this movie was slightly overhyped in the sense that it's not the best movie I've seen in the last 20 years. So I just felt like they started adding on like as this movie was about to premiere. Was it great? Yes, it was great. It was terrific. It's probably my number 2 movie of the year. But, to say it's best of the decade we're only in 2025, so it might be. But like in the past 20 years, come on, like pump the brakes a little bit on that kind of talk.
Yeah.
But it's his best work, and it's something I can rewatch again and probably again and get different aspects and different stuff from the movie. Kind of how I feel with like when I watch a Tarantino film, which are all about 3 hours long. Like it's something I can go back to because certain scenes, certain dialogue that I miss and pick up the second time through. So hats off to PTA in this one, because when I first saw the trailer, I was not on board at all.
I told you I was.
Yeah.
I had no idea and we'll get to it, but I think this was a marketing nightmare because of how this movie is structured, combined with not giving everything away.
Yeah.
But also trying to tell you what this movie is about is a hard marketing task.
It is, but they pulled it off. It was great. It was a great time. Great time at the theater last night. And for Tuesday night at 6:00, Tuesday at 6, it was pretty full.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely doing well with its crowd. And I think a lot of people are going to rewatch this, which is something, like I said, you can't normally say not only about Oscar time films, but also about PTA films in general. So I think this could do well. I don't think it's going to have the legs of like Weapons or Sinners where you're just like, holy crap, like look at how big this movie got. But I think it's going to do well.
Yeah.
I think, and it's not going to, I don't even want to have the conversation of is it going to justify its budget. That's not my problem.
Right.
I don't care. We talk about it, but almost in like an intriguing, like, is this director or creator going to get another shot, or is there going to be a sequel? I think those conversations are valid.
Right.
But outside of like, oh, is it worth it? It's absolutely worth it. Like this movie, not only for the fact that you get to be part of PTA's general filmography and collection, that's a big cinephiles thing. If you have all those movies on, say, one streaming service or box sets later on, or for the collector heads or any of these things, it will make more money and it will have a tail, especially if it does win Best Picture and all those other things. So, like, that's going to keep going and going and going. So the box office, the immediate success of it is one thing. The tail will also be something else, especially if you get a lot of people renting this or watching this on streaming services as it gets closer to Oscar time, where people, if they didn't see it in the theaters, will want to watch it at home, and maybe a lot of rewatching as well. So again, I am not concerned with all that. my concerns immediately went to, where does this lie in my Paul Thomas Anderson rankings? Where does this lie in my Leonardo DiCaprio performance rankings? I don't know if you maybe have any thoughts on your favorite Leo performances and where that ranks. I had a hard time ranking those. I just kind of put like my 5 favorite and then kind of might go from there. I could get to those in a sec, but I just want to cover just the last few things. The one thing you didn't mention, because I do love the cinematography, I thought a lot of the inventiveness, especially with the chase scenes and those crazy loopy roads that they did, and kind of the geography of the chase and all those things was really impressive.
Yeah.
And they mentioned, I went on a deep dive. I didn't expect you to deep dive this one, but like, Paul Thomas Anderson actually put out a syllabus essentially of like the movies that influenced this movie. And as far as the chase scenes are concerned, he put the French Connection as one of the big ones. And to mix in the comedy with the kind of crime and chase thing too, he also put Midnight Express, or not Midnight Express, Midnight Run.
Yeah.
So like films like that, you could definitely see he had like The Searchers and Battle of Algiers and a bunch of other films that he wanted to throw out there. I had a big thought about, like, I thought about No Country for Old Men here. I already mentioned that. I had a thought of Lebowski, which how can you not, a little bit with the tinge of Leo's character. But yeah, there's so many movies that you can nod to, and I was so intrigued because it's got so many genres mixed into one movie.
I thought you were going to go Bullet. That's what I thought with the car chasing, especially with the last scene where they're flying.
Because they get air.
Yeah. And it's like ground level shot, and you can see the shakiness of the car, which I thought was great.
It's true. But they also do that with French Connection, I think.
It's been a while. So, I always think Bullet for some reason. But you're right with the Big Lebowski, with Bob's character and the dude. Very similar tones on that. So
yeah, because he's a burnout, but he's mixed in political higher level intrigue that he has no business being in. This one, he's a little more in the game,
right?
Than Big Lebowski, but
a shout out to the music. I thought the music and the score were
where I was going to go next.
Yeah, music and score were fantastic. Kind of keeps the movie at a good pace and just keeps attention and just flowed very, very well with everything that was going on.
Yeah, it's Johnny Greenwood, who many would know as a member of Radiohead, now doing scores, and mostly has primarily done PTA scores. He's done, I believe, all his movies since There Will Be Blood. So that's 2007 all the way up. So he's covered those. He was nominated for Phantom Thread for the Oscars for that. And he was also nominated for The Power of the Dog, which I thought was an excellent score. I thought it should have, won that year that it was nominated. He did not. He has not won yet. But I've been listening to this as just recreationally.
Right.
I've been listening to the score like in the shower. It's very good. I was so impressed with how much Leo's performance and the score go hand in hand, because when he's a more polished revolutionary who's in charge of explosives, the score is like kind of big and bold and front and center and a symphony quality, strings up kind of a score front and center. But then when he's more fumbling and frantic and getting chased and falling off buildings and all those things, that's when you get more to this plinky piano and kind of almost like a sneaky like crime thriller kind of stuff when he's, trying to get his way through and not get caught by either police or Sean Penn or whoever else. So I like that it was borderline uncoordinated, but it fit so well when it was in the movie, and it's such a prominent piece. It's out in front in a lot of scenes, because it gets, I don't want to say silent film-esque, but there's a lot of parts where it's just run and gun, no dialogue, and he makes a meal out of it because the score is so important in those scenes. So the genre blend here, chase scenes and gunplay for the action blockbuster crowd. This is probably his most closest to being an action blockbuster. Yep. And obviously that's why the higher price tag as far as the budget. It's got a sense of timeliness and political action with, like you mentioned, the immigration stuff at top of mind and white supremacy within the political spectrum. And And the comedy we've mentioned many times, and the playfulness and the goofiness, and then you get a genuine kind of complicated family drama mixed in here too. So it's just so good. We mentioned the performances, and to top it all off, I was literally singing Tom Petty's American Girl as I was walking out of the theater. So it's got great soundtrack pieces too. A little Steely Dan in some prime spots. PTA always loves his 70s soundtrack. So I'm sitting here and I just go like, I've literally made these PTA rankings and I don't even know if I like them.
Okay.
Meaning I can probably switch them up immediately.
Okay.
I almost want to put One Battle After Another as his best movie, but I think it's too soon for me to declaratively say that. It's either that or Boogie Nights. If I had to do 1A, 1B, essentially, one will end up being 2, obviously, but, right. But when I first wrote it down, I wrote Boogie Nights first and this second, but I think with age, it might flip flop.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because it definitely has its most prominent characters and that you're just going to remember, the Dirk Digglers and Rollerballs and Burt Reynolds stuff in Boogie Nights comparing to Bob and Sensei and some of the other ones that you're going to get in this film, and Lockjaw, I mean, are right there.
Yep.
So it's hard to see that. I have The Master 3rd, There Will Be Blood 4, and Punch Drunk Love 5. I say that, and I hate myself for this, but I have not seen Phantom Thread. And Phantom Thread,
don't.
I know some people who absolutely love it, and I think it has a 4.2. It literally might be the second highest scored movie by the cinephile ranking stuff. It's more the critical darling one that people, as much as I was hemming and hawing with Boogie Nights, some people would say, well, I'm hemming and hawing with Phantom.
Well, I think those people hit their head or they're drunk. So that was the most painstakingly boring ass movie I think I've seen in the last 10 years. So bad. And I saw it in the theater. And
good on you.
Yeah, it was god awful. I mean, it was awful.
Yeah.
Well, here are my quick rankings.
I wanted to complete. Sure.
Okay. Well, here are my quick rankings. I got The Master at 5, Punch Drunk Love at 4, Licorice Pizza at 3, Boogie Nights at 2, and then this one is number 1.
There you go. I had a lot of fun with Licorice Pizza. It is one of those that I almost make them kind of equivalents with Punch Drunk Love, because it's kind of like a similar love story, running around, a lot of eccentric characters, but just generally is just a fun movie versus some of these deeper themed or more complex movies that he's done. I love Bradley Cooper in that movie, and Cooper Hoffman obviously is now becoming a person who we love more and more. So that's a great film to return to, and like I said, one of his more rewatchable ones. But yeah, it's hard. I think most people, unfortunately, might put Inherent Vice a little bit lower, and I like Hard 8. I think I like it more than most, but it clearly is his first movie. It's good. I am out on Magnolia in the sense of you were with Phantom Thread, where you're this movie can burn. Outside of Tom Cruise's performance, which is excellent, the rest of the movie just didn't really work for me. It's okay. I think I gave it a 3 out of 5, but it just didn't work. It just didn't work for me. There's so many that Julianne Moore's performance still bothers me, and I love her.
Right.
There's so many things that I just want to, punt into the sky.
Right. What was the other one you asked about? Leonardo's top 5, right?
Yeah. So I have, in no particular order, One Battle After Another, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Django Unchained, Wolf of Wall Street, and Catch Me If You Can.
Wow. Okay. Okay. I actually have mine in order. This one, this one does not make my top 5. And I became a DiCaprio fan late in his career, not early in his career. I guess mid-career. I didn't really care much for his earlier films. Number 1 for me is The Departed. Number 2 is Inception. Number 3 is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Number 4 is Django Unchained. And number 5 is Wolf of Wall Street.
Okay, so we're not.
Yeah, we're not far off.
Yeah. I mean, Catch Me If You Can is a sentimental
It's
movie.
it's a great movie.
Absolutely love.
Great.
And it pairs well with, I've mentioned it probably on the podcast that White Collar is one of my favorite TV shows, and it kind of molded itself a little bit after that. And again, like it's probably one of the better, quote, later Spielberg movies. And I just think his performance like is heartbreaking and fun and slick and all these things that I absolutely love. I just eat all that stuff up. Obviously, like Gilbert Grape is hard to kind of put, like child performances
I love
in a very
love that movie.
Narrow. I know, I do too. But it's something that it's hard to like put in a ranking when this guy has like been such a prominent actor for so long. The Departed is tough because I don't think he's the best part of that movie, but I think he's very necessary and he's strong. I just don't consider it like, again, a top 5 level, which again, that's so hard. He's so good.
Right. Well, that movie is the first movie that turned me on to DiCaprio.
Okay.
Yeah. Up until then, like outside of, like you said, what's in Gilbert Grape and, Basketball Diaries and that sort of thing, I just was like, okay. But it was The Departed that turned me around. And I was like, okay, I'm kind of liking this guy now. So it took off from there.
Yeah, no, it's great. Impressive career. And I think, I mean, with the fact that we're putting Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and this in his top 5 all time, it's crazy how he's just maintaining such a high level. But the thing that concerns me, and this is a general concern for many things, and people have brought it up, I guess he sold this movie enough to be number 1, but it drives me insane to have these people like say adore like a Christopher Nolan and will go see a movie because it's Christopher Nolan and have something like Oppenheimer become almost a $1 billion film, which is nuts, right? Like it did so much money. And yet this one has to like fight to justify having reportedly between like $130 and $150 million budget.
Right.
I don't get people. I really don't. Like, Leo's a huge star. This movie has gotten the highest scores of any movie I've seen in a long time across the board. It has action elements. Like I said, it's got something for everybody. And outside of the fact that it's long, which, if this was a fucking comic book movie, it'd be short. It feels like, like, I don't know, man. It just drives me crazy. And Oppenheimer was 3 hours.
Yeah, it sure was.
So it just, I guess that has to just be such a random one-off. But even still, like, just Nolan seems to print money.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what he does. But PTA doesn't have that same
cachet,
reputation or cachet with people. But I don't know. It drives me crazy that this has to be this way. But you're right. Like you said, you went on a Tuesday night and it was filled up. Like people are getting into this, but I don't know. Like, because Licorice Pizza was kind of late pandemic and it was a platform release. And, I had more of a struggle to get any kind of box office. So that's tough. And his previous films, like if it's an art house thing, more like Phantom Thread, like Daniel Day-Lewis will only take you so far as like box office returns. He'll get you obviously Oscar credit, but yeah, it's interesting. And then The Master and some of his other smaller films, but yeah, it's he has such an interesting career where like people revere him and love his movies, but he doesn't have the kind of big, bold, across the board for more 4-quadrant love that like someone like Christopher Nolan does.
Yeah, no. So it is funny how that happens, but it does happen. Like there's I think Tarantino is one that just draws people in too because it's a Tarantino film.
Yeah, yeah.
They say, they don't say, Kurt Russell's in this film. They say, no, it's a Tarantino film. Like so that's what they go for.
Yeah, there's very few directors where the director comes first, in a way. Like Spielberg still does, Nolan still does, Tarantino still does, Scorsese still does. We're obviously seeing it now in the horror stuff where it's like Peele and
good
Ryan,
point.
Ryan Coogler, because he kind of goes back and forth between big franchisey stuff, and then now with Sinners doing a bigger thing. And Zach Kreger and some of these other people are starting to come up, and that's becoming a thing. But yeah, there's not too many where I just go, you gotta see that. It's the guy who did this,
right?
a household name director is rare, but yeah.
So
and especially ones that draw box office.
Right, exactly. So at the end of the day, I'm assuming you gave this a 5.
I did. Shock. Yeah. Well, again, because I gave Sinners a 5.
Yeah.
So by extension, if I'm saying this is my favorite movie of the year, it has to be, right?
Yeah. I also gave it a 5.
Yeah. But it's wild that it's still like right there. So if this becomes the kind of award season juggernauty kind of thing, and if Sinners is up for Best Picture and things like that too, will you actually watch the Oscars?
Andrew, I'll make this promise to you right here on this podcast tonight. If that is the case, then yes, I will watch the Oscars.
So if both of them are up for multiple awards, including Best Picture, you will watch the Oscars.
I'm in.
Okay. All right.
I'm in.
And as it stands, to kind of put a cap on that conversation, I don't know what the hell they're going to, like, Sean Penn probably has the best shot at Best Supporting Actor, but Del Toro's going to have something to say. They're going to have to make a decision with Chase Infinity and Tiana Taylor about, who's they're going to be the front runner of those two with Supporting Actress. And by the way, I haven't said the name Regina Hall once. She's the glue. She's the glue of this movie secretly. She's every bit as important as Del Toro. It's just not as much of a fun and kind of unique character.
Correct.
But she is just so important that I just want to mention her as well. And she's very good. The other stuff, Leo for Best Actor, I think that might be tougher. Just even off the dome between him and Michael B. Jordan, you're probably giving it to Jordan, only especially because of the dual thing,
dual role,
so distinct.
Yep.
So that's tough. So how many times have we seen DiCaprio? He's only won once, and he's been nominated so many times. It's so hard, and he won for The Revenant, which we haven't mentioned the word.
I know, right?
It's incredible to think about. PTA Best Director is definitely on the table. And as far as like the front runners now, this has to be at the top. Sinners is there. Hamnet, the new Chloe Zhao movie, and Sentimental Value, the Joachim Trier movie that I will be seeing in a couple weeks, is in there. There's a few other ones, like the Netflix ones will have something to say, I guess. House of Dynamite and Jay Kelly. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting 10, because I'm hoping that Avatar 3 does not.
Oh God, please.
I hope Wicked Part 2 does not. Sorry, folks, if that's not, if that's your bag, but I wouldn't be shocked if one of those made it into the Best Picture 10. And then, we'll have a lot of other things, like Springsteen is at the end of this month. Smashing Machine we're going to cover next week. You got Marty Supreme on the other side of the Safdie coin coming out at the end of the year. And yeah, there's still a lot of conversations left in the game, but I would say, like, I'm encouraged that there's going to be an Oscar 10 where I'm going to truly like most of these movies, and I'll be very excited for that.
And I'll be in watching, bud. I'll be right there with you.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's do it.
2 seconds. I would go Penn over Benicio del Toro in this role, and
he has to. He has so much.
And I'd go Chase Infinity.
Same.
So those would be my two that I would get in there.
Yeah, same. But like, again, it's funny because Penn, his role is best when he's kind of mirroring off of Tiana Taylor.
Yeah, true.
So you can make an argument she's like the lead of the beginning of the movie. So it's so crazy that she's almost like a cheat code, but she also might not be the best supporting performance. I don't know. I was so impressed with Chase Infinity.
Yeah, I was too.
She definitely carries a lot of portions of this movie because Leo gets sidelined as she's getting taken. Interesting stuff. But I'm very happy with multiple 5-star movies in the same year.
Yeah, me too.
Because I can't tell you the last time that happened.
Yeah,
I'd have to look. Like 2019 might be close as the last one that had like 2 really good movies that I liked in the same, with like Parasite and Marriage Story.
Yeah.
And even then, and then like Endgame's in that year and everything else. So that's probably like the strongest year in a long time. But yeah, I'd have to look. I'd have to think about it. But even as far as like rewatchable best pictures, you got like Gladiator, No Country for Old Men, sort of, Parasite, sort of, and Oppenheimer's probably too long to consider that.
It's too long.
And yeah, otherwise, obviously a very watchable movie, especially that mid part of that movie. It's hard. It's like that's a hard thing. That's a hard needle to thread. But pun intended. So great stuff. Let's get to some TV because we're going to go from one battle after another to one TV show after another. We're going to start with Slow Horses. Is that good for you?
Yeah, go right ahead, because I think the audience find out you kind of watched the premieres while I watched the finales.
You watched their finales. Yeah.
Right.
Well, then I'll bang these out. Slow Horses season 5 premiere started out white hot, Shane. I know a lot of people who cover TV who like this show already has said this is like a return to form season, that it might be the best season they've had in years. And it's already starting out insane. A mass shooting happens in the middle of like an open public square. A sniper murder takes out the mass shooter. And both parts are now moving together in tandem, on top of the fact that there's multiple attempts on Ho's life.
Oh.
Who he's insane in this season already. Not to mention, there's such a generous use of the term fuck off. Like so many times in one episode, I was like, wow. Like even me, I'm not prudish by any standards we swear on this podcast. And literally the amount of the use of fuck off is insane. Everybody has PTSD, it feels like, after seasons of all this stuff. The amount of deaths that have piled up with the spies in Slough House and Gary Oldman still on a heater every waking moment of that show. And waking is the only time, because he sleeps so often in that show, taking naps. So I literally have to use the term waking moments because, yeah, he's still in his farting, napping, drunk, but ultimately the most informed and intelligent guy in the whole show performance that he does. I'm loving it.
Good.
I absolutely loved the premiere, and it's only going to get better from what I hear. So I'm all the way in. English Teacher. So glad to have this show back. Had a 3-episode premiere, and I even caught the 4th episode before we hit the mics today. The opening episode is COVID the Musical.
Oh, jeez.
To where they literally were supposed to be doing Angels in America, and then the kids complained that nobody cares about AIDS anymore, and then said COVID is our AIDS, and then turned Angels in America to COVID in America. So amazing. And then there's a episode where they try to do an environmental awareness episode where they have big tech create these trash cans that end up harvesting their data from the students, which is nuts. And then there's like a funny like dinner party episode where there's a guy who's possibly marrying the principal's daughter, and he announces himself to be 80% gay, 20% bi, and the 10% that he's straight is asking his daughter to marry him. Already amazing. It's super funny start that got better as it went along. There's a drunk friend that just is staying on Evan's couch throughout the first few episodes and just dips in and out, including he goes to a rehab that turns out to be a reality show. Amazing. This show, for being 22 minutes or whatever per episode, packs in so much and so many laugh lines, and it's just amazing. And I caught the 4th episode, which has Evan's mother come in because he won Teacher of the Month, which is like a nothing award to like the teachers, but his mom wanted to be proud of him, and she came from like overseas to like go and do this, and they go out to eat. And my favorite part of that episode, they go out to eat, they're having like all his teacher friends come out and celebrate his win. And when she orders the food, she orders Domino's cheesesteak pizza from the restaurant they're at, and then they get it delivered to the restaurant to eat while they're at a restaurant full of food. Amazing. So that show's off to a hot start. Love it being back in my life. As far as like new shows are concerned, I caught the Lowdown premiere, and I know we'll get to it in a second because I know you caught up with Black Rabbit after I gave a glowing endorsement the week before. Shane, you're missing out, man. You got to get on the Lowdown. Excellent pilot episode. Probably one of the best pilot episodes I've seen in a long time. Hawk is so good and so compelling. Basically a smart dumbass. This has a lot like I find myself, and this is so me, as you know, if it feels Coen Brothers,
just about to say
I love it. It's my favorite thing. It's my jam. Especially if there's like a general principle or social commentary thing mixed in it, and it does. It's a noir and like a social like a more contemporary noir. Love it. The cast is incredible. Keith David, Macon Blair, Ryan Keira Armstrong, who is his daughter, who like in many scenes looks like a dead ringer for Katie Holmes, like a young Katie Holmes, which unfortunately she was also the update. We are literally just bashing her first movie. I think it's her first movie. She was in that Firestarter remake as the Drew Barrymore role.
Gotcha.
Which she wasn't really the problem, and she's a child, so I don't want to kill her for it, but she's a really good young actress. So I'm excited to have her in this one. Gene Triplehorn, Killer Mike, Kyle MacLachlan, Twin Peak, Kyle MacLachlan, Tim Blake Nelson, Johnny Pemberton, very funny comedian who does little small roles. Just a really smart written show with essentially like a very rich and prominent family who has, again, ties to like white supremacy and a lot of. It's interesting that we're like the one battle after another praise kind of leaps into the Lowdown a little bit in terms of the characters and getting into but this is more of the crime element versus like a chase thing. But there's a lot of like guys getting shoved in the trunks of cars and murders and just a lot of stuff that tickles my interest. And the first 2 episodes came out for that, and I was really into it, especially the first episode. So I'm all the way in on this show as well.
Excellent. I can't wait to start watching it. So,
but you could get to, sir, the high profile finales that we had, including, I know how much we even teased it to try to catch up to where we were with your praise for Alien Earth. So why don't you start there?
Oh man. So yeah, of course, last week I kind of caught you up to what was going on. So we were heading into the pivotal finale, and I will honestly say it did not let down at all. Like, in fact, it got me so hype. Everything going on in this world that Noah has built. Everything kind of comes to a head. You get just what you're waiting for. You get the Hirsch, who is the Timothy Olyphant synthetic character, facing off with the cyborg character in the finale, because they set that up so perfectly about 3 episodes ago, just based on a conversation they had in an elevator. You got the Lost kids kind of running amok and just coming into like their adulthood. Some of them are still like childlike, but there's a couple that are maturing faster than others. So you don't know what kind of side of the fence they're kind of hanging on. And then of course you get Boy Cavalier's character, who just is so egocentric and just so thinks he's smarter than everybody. He's kind of oblivious and just keeps making like one decision after another. And you're just like, ugh. But man, the action, the set pieces, the whole xenomorph, right? Xenomorph, sorry. Yeah. And his connection or her connection, I don't know, with Wendy, who is like, the first synthetic.
Yeah, they're always the queen, right?
Yeah,
or at least a lot of the ones.
So with Wendy being the head, and just like the flip that Wendy has in this show, because she was so attached to her brother, and they kind of build upon that. That's who she wants in her life. And then she starts questioning like humanity and what it's be to be human and why they do certain actions. And she's coming like into her own consciousness kind of. And it's kind of interesting to see that flip and then see her brother's reaction with all that stuff going on. So, geez, crow, they had a lot going on, and this show is so sharp and so well written. And it's just great world building. There was not a bad episode to me in this, but here's what I'll say: they better, for the love of God, have season 2. That's
okay.
because it's not. I'll let people watch. I'm not going to spoil it, but they better have a season 2. And if they do, because I think Noah Hawley said he has like 2 pretty much mapped out and written out. He's just waiting for the green light at this point. And I don't know why in the world this thing has not been greenlit for season 2 yet, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, there's usually a general grace period between the end of one, but you've seen it like some of these, like, you know, like the Apple shows or whatever.
While it's going on, they're like,
hey,
season 2 announced. Yeah. Like, they're not even done with 1.
But this is, you know, it's Disney and they're trying to do their whole Hulu thing and the FX stuff. It's a lot.
Once season 2 gets announced and it gets rolling, I'll be interested to see where they take some of what happened at the end of season 1, and especially if this in the timeline fits in, I think 3 years before the original Alien. So is it going to like just curtail and dovetail
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, how much runway is there before we get to Alien?
Right. So that's my biggest curiosity is like, where is he going to fit this in to where we get introduced to Sigourney Weaver's character and what happens on that. So anyway, people, if you have not watched this show, you are sleeping. If you're an Alien fan, just what are you doing with your life? Go watch. It's very bingeable. The music is great, by the way. I mean, it ends with a banger every episode. Pearl Jam, freaking Tool, Smashing Pumpkins. Like, the music is great. So, love this show.
And by the way, it was right there on a T for you. You said everybody's sleeping when you could have said cryo sleep. So you're going to get docked a paycheck for this week. I'm sorry. You're taking out for that one. And then wrap us up with the Terminal List.
Yeah, again, another show I was really enjoying. Kind of caught everyone up about last week. So here we go. You get the crux with Ben Edwards and him trying to redeem himself or get himself out of being blackballed, because as the season progresses, and I don't want to spoil anything, there are a lot of twists and turns that you don't kind of see coming. So the action, though, is so on point. And especially like the last action scene in this was just insane. It is so great. It's such a great group of the cast was here. It's a great dynamic. What I will say, and they do bring Chris Pratt back for the last episode. So, I kind of didn't really, I liked it, don't get me wrong, but I'm like, oh, now they're going to call on Chris Pratt for the last episode. I just felt like maybe I don't know why they did it, but great way to wrap it up. You get like where Ben Edwards kind of sinks into where he is and kind of separates himself from his other SEAL buddies, especially the one played by Tom Hopper, because he was kind of like the co-lead in this show.
Right.
And they had ideological separation of sorts. So that was interesting to see. What I didn't stick for me, though, because this kind of goes right into the first season of Terminal List. They don't do a good enough job to make you believe that Ben Edwards would ever turn on Chris Pratt's character in Terminal List or have anything to do with him or his family, because they do such a good job of like forming that bond, like literally family bond between Reese and Edwards, that you would think there's nothing in the world that would. So they did not like really plant that seed of why he would take that turn in particular. But other than that, if you're just looking for a well-written, for the most part, I would say, and I think I mentioned this last time, when the soldiers are talking to each other, or you got sergeant or whatever, when it's military talk, it seems so AI. And it's just like so rah-rah, just stuff you would read in motivational books. And it's like, ugh. But once they get outside the military talk and you get the character development, it's fine. Again, I like the whole cast in here. They do a great job. And I actually enjoyed this season a little bit more than the Chris Pratt original, because I do like the CIA espionage, the whole plot turns and their mission and just the team dynamic. So I give this a little bit of a bump over the original Chris Pratt Terminal List.
Very nice. And also, you got to give me at least like your 2 cents on Black Rabbit. You seem so enthused, sending me messages, catching up with this afterwards after I said a lot of nice things about it last week. So give it to me straight, buddy. It's one of the better shows of the year, right?
Absolutely. And I don't know why I waited a week to start watching this show. I really don't. Like, it is, I could have
2 major stars. It's great.
I could have stayed up and watched all 8 episodes at one time. I could watch
It's
8
so
hours of this.
engrossing.
Yes. And it's like you said, everything was well directed. The characters, Jason Bateman was phenomenal. I mean, so was Jude Law, but man, Bateman is just,
well, he's the live wire.
He's
so
a live
he's gonna
wire,
capture
man.
a lot of the attention.
And it's like you kind of want to root for the guy, but he just keeps like getting in his own way. And like, the one line that sticks out to me is like everyone wants to like Jude Law to cut away from him, and he's like, "You're addicted to your brother. Like you have an addiction too. You're addicted to your brother." That line stuck out to me. But man, just the again the dynamic between the two, them always getting in trouble and getting out of trouble. And I love the last episode where they do like the chapter character breakdown to see like where everything kind of heads up. Absolutely loved it. I thought the writing was phenomenal because they take like what happened to the original bartender and make that a through line, like a bigger through line. And it's like there's nothing thrown away in this show. Like every scene, it has an impact. Every line that you may not think matters ends up mattering. Just a phenomenal show. Just loved it. I loved it. I loved it.
And a perfect binge model show.
Yeah.
Too. They're just so well crafted in terms of keeping you on the hook.
Because it's like you said, like you want to root for a character, right? But then he does something, you're like, yeah, he's not a really good guy. Like Jude Law.
The obviously bad has some good, and then a good guy that they lead you into, they muddy them up.
They muddy everybody up in this show, which is, I guess, more indicative of life and like people just like this. So people go out and run. And like you said, the music was great, and I like the little flashback band episode, like when they were in the band together.
The music video opening that episode was very jarring, but I liked it.
The music was great. The setting in New York was fantastic. So golly, such a good show. I can go back and probably watch the show again.
Yeah, it's a very rewatchable show, and it's only 8 episodes, so it's a perfect mini series, and a perfect doesn't need a follow up. Doesn't need to pull like a Shogun or some of these other ones where they're like, "Whoops, sorry, we're doing another season." Doesn't need it. Everything's wrapped up nicely. It's all good. So I liked it, and wow, like I mentioned last week, the amount of characters that you care about by the end of this series, it's not just the brothers. That it's so impressive to be like, I care about the 5th, 6th, 7th guy on the roster so much if they end up either getting caught up in something or dying or whatever, and you're just like, wow, this is amazing.
Yep, totally agree.
So peak TV, possibly, debatable, like best picture of the year coming out all in the same week. We've been covering it all, so be sure to subscribe out there to this podcast so you don't miss any of these conversations. We have so much coming up. This week, we're definitely going to cover The Smashing Machine, the new Safdie brother movie with The Rock, who might be in an Oscar conversation, which is another reason why Shane will be watching the Oscars this year, bringing Dwayne The Rock Johnson to the Oscars. So let's make that a reality as well. Possibly checking out some horror movies that are out there. Bone Lake is out this week. Good Boy. So we'll see what we can all get to, and then we're going to keep on these amazing shows that are week to week that we just absolutely love. Peacemaker just had its best episode so far, and possibly the best episode they've ever done. It's an incredible time to be consuming as much as we are, and we will be sure to come back week after week and give you more and more updates on all these amazing movies and TV shows that we are just obsessed with, and it's a good time to be obsessed. So at Recent Act Pod on the socials, tell a friend, and be sure to come back next week for more recent activity.